Hey, it's your boy Dustin from the Flying Chairs, the Rise podcast with my sexy co-host Chrissy. and
Hey.
to and today we got a special guest because this is our 200th episode. 20th. 200th episode. Uh yeah, and we're here with my good friend Barnaby Jones. And he's been on here, I think, twice. So this is his third time with us. And he's got a lot of shit to
Yep.
say and tell us since I seen him last time we saw each other was at the Chicago Paranormal Convention that Jack Chavez. Am I saying it right?
Sure, I'll speak for him.
Yeah, I know. That he throws, I think, once a year. I think he's got one coming up
Correct.
here soon.
Coming up June 7th this year.
Yes, actually, the last episode we had was with him, so we had a
Mhm.
good talk about robotic UFOs and or ETs, and yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, Barnaby, tell me what's new in your neighborhood.
New in my neighborhood. It's like the Mr. Rogers show we're on
Yeah,
now.
right. We're
Ah,
gonna get to
man.
colors and numbers soon. Yeah.
Oh, good, good. I'm good at those. Yeah. Yep. Man, I've been super busy. I don't know that I've done so much lately, but we've been working on a brand new project coming out this May. And it is going to be a documentary, like a full-length documentary on Bigfoot in Wisconsin. And there's nothing really out there right now that is focused on the people, the places, and the evidence that we've been getting here in Wisconsin. There's, all over the Pacific Northwest, a lot of Ohio, Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky. There's all these documentaries and people work in these areas, but there's nothing really coming out of Wisconsin about these creatures. Jay Bachochin down in the south part of the state here has two documentaries, but they're more about his like personal journey of discovery and not the state in general, the state as a whole and stuff. So we decided that we wanted to put out a documentary that encompasses just a little bit of everything. So we've been traveling around the state, specifically talking to a lot of the witnesses, a lot of the other researchers that are working on these topics. We've been filming brand new reenactments of some of the sightings that people have had. So we're bringing in some of the stuff that we've done in the past, like the Rhinelander stuff, the mountain stuff, but we're going to be featuring this stuff in a brand new way in this documentary. And the stuff that we've already done, like Rhinelander and Mountain, and that is a very small part of what this documentary is going to be. It's a lot of brand new footage, a lot of brand new evidence that we've kind of been sitting on for a while here because we want to showcase, what we've got going on. And so there's a lot of new stuff, and we're premiering this. The trailer for it comes out in February, and it premieres in May at our big convention here in Wisconsin. It's going to be the Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention. It's May 9th through the 11th in Appleton, Wisconsin at the Doubletree. And Friday, we're going out. We're taking a small group of people doing a VIP meet and greet with the speakers that we have coming in. And then we're actually going out Bigfoot hiking that night in Oconto County, Wisconsin. And then Saturday is the big convention. We have myself and a couple of the other people that were part of My Haunted Hometown, a recent brand new paranormal series that just came out. We have two episodes that were filmed with the Caps crew there, and we're going to be talking about more evidence that was gathered at those two locations for the episodes. There we go. And then we have Chad Lewis is going to be speaking.
Oh, cool.
He is a local folklorist
Yeah, I love
and
that guy.
researcher in Wisconsin here.
Hmm.
We have Miranda Young. She is the Ghost Biker Explorations. She is
Mm.
down in Kentucky, Tennessee area, and her whole thing. She goes around on motorcycles and does paranormal investigations. She has a whole series.
Oh, that's
She's coming
sweet.
up here for that. Stacy Brown Jr. from Florida is coming up to talk about the skunk ape and his recent project trying to Freedom of Information Act the government on all things skunk ape and to have them disclose this information. He's going to be talking about that. And we have Squatch America, which is Scott and Hannah Violet, who are all over the United States. They travel around in their little camper and they basically just do Sasquatch in 24/7 and conventions. So
Oh,
those guys are coming up. And then on Friday, or I'm sorry, Sunday of that weekend, we are also doing two paranormal investigations locally here at one of the locations that was featured in my haunted hometown. So it's a big 3-day event. And even if you guys can't make it out in person, we also have virtual tickets. So
oh,
anywhere that you are in the entire world for $5, you can stream all of our speakers on Saturday, either live or at your convenience. So it's a pretty big event. We got
wow.
the documentary is going to be debuted Saturday night after the speakers and everything, and the vendors are there. We have over 30 vendors coming to this event as well. And then after the premiere of the documentary, we also have Angela Zabel is going to be there doing a gallery reading for all the people that have the Saturday tickets. So it's going to be great. It's May 9th through the 11th in Appleton, Wisconsin. You can get all the
Okay.
information at,
I'd have to visit you
yeah.
in May because
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you hear all
that's
that shit?
amazing. Okay, listen, I cannot further bear the fact that all of the awesome people in the world are concentrated right there in Wisconsin. I can't take this. I have
We
to
got
visit you
Chad Lewis.
guys.
What else do you want?
Yeah. No, it's so true. No, it's really weird that we have a lot of again, weird phenomenon here in general. We have a long history of having it. And you're right, Barnaby, it's really weird that we don't have a documentary focused on Wisconsin Bigfoots. I mean, there's so many sightings, there's so many
Well, there are a
stories.
lot of sightings, yeah, in Wisconsin as well. I mean, it mostly like Washington, California and stuff I
Yeah,
noticed,
it's
but I mean, honestly, you're a hot spot as well.
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But even
Yeah.
like Upper Michigan, we could talk a little bit about Hayden. Barnaby wrote a book about this place.
Oh, really?
If
Yep.
you want to get more detail on that, just show it off, plug it in.
It's a
If it's gonna block it out, oh,
blocks there
it's
we
the
go.
government. There you go. Block your yeah. Put it in front
10
of you.
years
There it is.
10 years of research on
There it is.
80 acre
Yeah.
property in Michigan. Bigfoot is hiding. It is the property was owned by Craig Salk and Barb Salk, and Craig unfortunately has passed away now.
Hmm.
But we have taken his first book that was self-published and his second book that he was writing when he passed away there, and taken those and published them globally now. And then the third part in there is I wrote everything that happened on the property since he passed away up until
Wow.
the end of 2023. So it's 10 years of research and documentation and stuff all on an 80-acre property. And there's so much stuff that, like you name it, we've had vocals, we've had sightings, we've had, stick structures, footprints, every piece of Bigfoot evidence that you can think of has happened on
That's
that
so cool.
property and the neighboring properties around it. So there's a lot of stories from other
Wow.
people in the area as far as that. And
Barnaby.
it's a book. Yeah.
Oh, I have a question for you because I've been watching you a little bit. I
She
noticed
stalks you.
that I like to stalk my prey.
You do.
I noticed that you mentioned that you don't believe that Bigfoot is interdimensional necessarily, right? But where the hell does he go? I mean, Bigfoot resonates with me personally. He seems like he just wants to be left alone. Any footage, real or fake, that I see of him, he looks like he's just trying to get away from people. Where do they go? Are they under the ground? What are they doing?
So from everything that I believe personally is based on stuff that I've experienced. So it's it's all stuff that I've encountered personally out in the woods is how I base my personal beliefs. And as far as that goes, like I don't think that they're, interdimensional, extraterrestrial, or anything like that. I think that they're they're based here on a flesh and blood animal from all the stuff that I've experienced. But I have experienced some things that are beyond that. I mean, I have seen an orb of light in the woods while out bigfooting, but I always like to tell people, just because you see that when you're out bigfooting doesn't mean that it's connected. There's so many things out in the woods, from fairy creatures to, the dog man and UFOs and all this stuff out there, that just because you're out there looking for Bigfoot doesn't mean that everything that you run into is a Bigfoot, right? So it goes both ways there. As far as where they go, I think that, as best as we can tell about the species and the behaviors and stuff like that, these things are ambush predators. So when they run out of food, berries, fish, things that they can easily access during those times of year when they're prominent out there in the woods, they have to hunt. So they hunt for deer or small animals or stuff like that. And being an ambush predator that way, they have to be able to blend in very easily. And that's where you get some of these sightings where people say, well, it was crossing the road and that just disappeared. Well, if you watch like a deer or something, they do the same thing. You watch them cross the road, they go into the woods, gone. And a lot of the times they're not gone. What they do is they just stand still. Because if your eyes are looking for movement, you're looking for something that happens, you're not going to see it, because they walk off and they just stop. A lot of people that witnessed like the road crossings and stuff like this say as soon as they were like coming up on it, they saw it standing at the side of the road, and as they got closer, it dropped down to all fours or onto its belly in the ditch. So it's very, very smart, very capable, because if you're out there to hunt and eat at any time, you're gonna be stealthy. You have to be, otherwise you're not gonna be able to capture prey. So with that being said, it makes sense that these creatures, as soon as, something comes up that they want to get away from, they're going to camouflage, they're going to be able to have that stealth ability. So I don't think that they move or migrate so much, within a certain area. So let's say, like even your big cats and stuff have a home base pretty much. And if these things have like a 30-mile radius of where their home territory is, because they're big, they can travel that far in a night or, throughout the day and stuff, and follow those active food sources, wherever the fish are spawning, wherever the blueberry bushes are, the raspberry bushes, or the mushrooms, or whatever food source is that is in season at that time, they're going to go towards that. But I do believe that they also stay within that home range of, 30 miles or whatever it happens to be. And so they move around in that area. So just because you have them on your property at a certain time doesn't mean that they're always going to be on that property or they live there. They're going to move around and follow those food sources and stuff. So
That's crazy. I mean, and it kind of reminds me of the 1924 Albert Osman. Am I saying that right? Remember, that kid?
yeah.
He's like the lumberjack who was camping and he was in a sleeping bag, and this Bigfoot, well, he didn't really know it was a Bigfoot. Well, he started to think it was a Bigfoot after he's being dragged so far and then he's being thrown up a cliff. He's saying that he's felt like he was dangling while he was being thrown up this cliff, and he finally gets to a spot where they're relaxing. He hears the grunting and the talking and some sort of creatures, obviously, and he opens the bag and he's these giants, with Bigfoots. There's obviously the female ones you can see with the big breasts and stuff like that, but this old man that he called the old man was the one who kind of like was trying to in charge of him, basically, and was trying to have him mate with some of the younger ones that weren't sexually developed, and he was just like, what the fuck? I'm not trying to fuck no children Bigfoots.
Respectfully, Dustin, respectfully,
Yeah.
this guy reminds me of Peter Curie.
Yeah, right. Oh my god, we can get to that story later.
Oh yeah.
But no, yeah. So this guy was captive for like 6 days. He had a gun, but didn't shoot at him because he thought this gun wouldn't really do much to these guys. But he had, you remember that's this tobacco stuff thing that I don't know if you put it in your cheek or you smoke it or what the fuck you do with it. I guess he was trying to like indicate that it was good to make them sick, hoping that they would eat it. And of course they did. and that's when he made his escape. After they were like, he was the big one was getting like, oh my stomach, and then he just dipped.
Barnaby, does this sound like a legitimate story?
I think it is. That's for sure because it reminds me of like why wouldn't they? Because they, I think the Native Americans actually believed his ass when they told him that shit. They're like, yeah, they were trying to fuck us too. Sorry.
Yeah, stories as well. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think there could be some truth to it. I've heard a lot of legitimate researchers, that have looked into that story to see the validity of it. And I mean, it goes both ways. It's all in what you believe and if you believe that this guy was telling the truth or not. But there's a lot of, what do I want to say, documentation of him telling this story. He didn't tell it right away.
Right.
Supposedly he came out of the woods and he showed up at this bar or something and talked about it, and people, heard him talking about it, but he didn't really come forward until like years later. So
Right.
they're not sure, like, the timeline there as to why you waited so long and stuff like that. But there's, definitely documentation back in the day of him talking about this. So I don't know. I don't foresee it being out of the realm of something that could happen. You hear, like I said, a
Yeah.
lot
Why
of the
not?
Native Americans supposedly have these stories of interacting with these creatures, and also like
Right. Right.
trading with them or having
Yeah.
them at their
Exactly.
campfires and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they started taking their women and children off into the woods to either breed with them or eat them, whatever you have. And the Native Americans said, we don't want to do this anymore. You need to stop. And they basically told the natives, no, we're not gonna, and went to war. And there's stories of like these tribes like trapping them in caves and burning them alive and stuff like
Whoa.
that. So
Huh.
it follows a lot of the other legends and lore and stuff that we have about them, that stuff like that could have happened and still does.
Holy shit.
I
Can you
always
imagine?
deemed Bigfoot's personality as elusive, but I suppose he can be aggressive at times, huh?
uh,
Sure.
just like any animal, any animal, any person, you have your good docile ones that just want to be left alone, and they hang out in the woods and they're fine. They're not a domestic animal by any means. But you do have the stragglers that do get kicked out of their family groups or something, or food and hunger makes people angry, can make animals angry. So if there's a fight for a food source, a lot of the times when you hear these people getting attacked and stuff, like the Ape Canyon incident and stuff, where the miners were out in this cabin in the woods, and all these rocks got thrown at them, and
Yeah.
their cabin got assaulted by these beings and stuff. Well, the story starts with them shooting at them, you know.
Yep.
So here's another incident where you do have these attacks on people and stuff like that, but it's also instigated by the shooting, or the people themselves instigating it. So a lot of the times when you do hear people say, "Oh, it came and threw rocks at my house," or started banging on the side of my camper and stuff, well, they probably shot at them first. Or you have hunters and fishermen out there that are taking their perceived food source and hunting in their areas. And
Sure.
when you have that, you're also in that competition for the local food and the resources. And if those things are scarce, or, this guy has been out there trying to hunt and, unsuccessful for quite a while, and then this guy with a gun comes out there and takes your deer, right out from under you, you're not going to be too happy about that either. So,
No. And that's right, because like Albert didn't shoot at these things knowing that these things would just fuck him up. So like the
Yeah.
fact that he just went the route of like just being trying to be peaceful. Here, try this tobacco that's gonna make you sick as shit. you know. But it's such an interesting story. The fact that like the physical contact and being there for 6 days with these things, and then he said like how they smelled horrible, like this bunch of like gym socks and shit, like. But yeah, no, it's just I like stories like that, the more physical contact, and like it makes you think like that's how they're more so elusive like that. If they can just snag somebody up like that easily. Yeah.
Wild. And Barnaby, one of the reasons why I love science fiction so much is because science fiction is fiction until it's not, and then it's real life. And that has happened time and time again. And when it comes to cryptozoology, even though I'm not as well versed as you, obviously, I'm very interested. I love learning this stuff about you, what you do. But there are creatures like, for instance, the giant squid you mentioned. The giant squid was deemed as a cryptid, and now
Mhm.
we know the giant squid, it's real, and the same thing, a couple of other things, like something called like the okapi, I guess. It's like this giraffe that people thought was just a cryptid. They thought it was fake, and it turns out it's real. So,
Yeah.
I think over time we will find that the cryptozoologists are coming out with valuable information, and we're going to find some of these guys and we're going to learn more about them. But that's why I'm so interested in what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, cryptozoology started out as romantic zoology or zoology just to begin with, because all zoology was the study of animals that, didn't exist. You go out in the wild, you have this group of people that were um just traveling the world. And back in those days, you have like different people that would go around and literally just capture animals for menageries, zoos, kings, royalty, and stuff like that. So you had these people that were interacting with tribes all over the world, learning about the local legends and stuff like that. Um, Hagenbeck, um, his first name is escaping me right now, but I talk about him in my presentation on cryptozoology because he was the first one to write about Mokelia membe, which is this
Oh yeah.
giant sauropod dinosaur out in the Congo.
Yep.
And he talks about that because he literally was one of these guys. He would go out into the woods and he would trap animals and stuff before you had, the modern zoos and all that stuff. And he would go out and capture these animals and bring them back to the circuses and the zoos all around the world so people could see these things. So he was a world traveled man. And there was a lot of people at the time doing this. So these are the people that were going out and discovering the new species. They would bring them back, and then the world would be like, "Oh, what is this thing? We've never seen it before." And you would have those interactions with these creatures, and the natives again would say, like, "Well, we've heard stories of this," like you said, like the okapi. Well, the okapis are their closest relative is the giraffe. They have a striped butt, and then the rest of them is this dark brown. They have a shorter neck than a giraffe, but still a elongated, kind of like a long-necked horse, more or
Yeah.
less. And they're again a newer species that was discovered out of mythology, in that because they're elusive. They're again from the African Congo, and the African Congo is very war torn, very volatile area. We can't go in there and study a lot of stuff because, there's just too much political stuff going on down there. And they're elusive. They don't travel in herds like giraffes or zebras or anything. They're solitary animals and they live in the dense jungles. So to try and find one animal in the middle of all these jungles and stuff when you can't even get in there to see it to begin with,
Right.
that's hard enough, and here's an animal that we know exists. We know that it's out there. Same as the lowland gorilla and stuff. They come from the Congo area and the Congo River Basin, and down in that area of Africa. And there are a lot of different species like that. And every day we're discovering new species. And they're small animals and stuff but they're also
Yeah.
big. We just discovered a brand new species of whale. So, we still have all these things out there that are being discovered. There's a new species of forest elephant that was recently discovered out in I think that was Asia or
Oh.
Africa, but I think it was Asia. So they this whole other subspecies, and we knew that they were there, but we didn't know that their DNA and stuff was a different species. So large animals, small animals, insects, and that, and think about all the stuff that goes extinct every day that we don't even know exists.
It's
All the
true.
stuff out there. So
That's crazy. And you think about the Congo too, man. It's not too far fetched that maybe a prehistoric dinosaur was living back in the day, still there and breeding, because that might have been the last pocket of freshness of there's bugs there is like size of cars that still that live there right now. Like and there's like And there's fucked up fish that will go in your pee hole and shit. There's
Oh
really
yeah.
fucked up shit there. There's a million things down there that can kill you. So that's another reason why you don't travel. But those people, the villagers are dead serious about seeing these things. And those people are going into the deep bush and seeing these things and even getting attacked and just have a long history of that. And no, and if you think about the coelacanth, that's a prehistoric fish, and that motherfucker's still swimming and breeding and doing the fuck. So
He's the poster child for cryptozoology. It's on so many different currencies, like
yeah,
countries, dollar bills and coins and stuff. It's on postage stamps and everything. It is the logo for the International Museum of Cryptozoology in Maine. So yeah, it was rediscovered at a fish market in South Africa. And
wow.
this one museum curator and stuff was just frequenting the fish market to see if there's any new species or stuff, coming in there. And she's walking through the market one morning and here's this giant blue fish. And she goes, "Where did you get this?" "Oh, we catch those things all the time," they say. "And can you show me where?" And they went out there, and sure enough, there's all these still out there and still alive, still breathing. And we thought this thing went extinct with the dinosaurs, but yep, still out there.
So now I think the shit's gonna be really going crazy when Japan just passed the law that they're gonna be making human slash animal hybrids. Do you hear about this?
I'm sure that'll
I
go
have
well.
not.
So yeah, they passed this, I think, this last year. So they're just gonna start making Dr. Moreau straight up in Japan. I don't know if they're gonna start with Hello Kitty or I don't know.
Dog man.
Yeah.
I think they could put these funds to better use.
Yeah, you think so.
I think.
But why? What's the purpose? And I think
Right.
I would hate to be like the ones that is come out, the first ones are all like, kill me, all
Oh,
like
that's
mutilate.
terrible.
You know what I'm saying? Like until they get it right. Oh
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Christ. That's a horror movie
You
right
you
there.
have you already have basically kind of human animal hybrids because look at all the genetically grown like pig hearts and stuff that we have.
Oh, true.
And those
Oh,
are
that's
being put
true.
into humans. So you have
That's true.
these animal human hybrids that are walking around and stuff. So we've already been experimenting with that kind of science for a while. And then with the cloning and stuff like that as well, you have the ability to grow human organs and stuff in petri dishes now without even being part of a pig or anything like that.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
science
Or
has got
even
a
like
lot of weird
3D.
stuff. You talk about science fiction and stuff coming true, and
Yeah, I
yeah,
was gonna say like 3D
Yeah.
3D printing organs. I've seen that too. That's pretty gnarly. I just need a new kidney. Print me one.
Wow. I'd love to see what the future brings us in the
I
world
know
of medicine, and it's going to be wild out there.
it's gonna be really wild. Yeah, especially if they keep reverse engineering. Well, speaking of which, did you get you keep did you watch the latest whistleblower release that video of the egg-shaped UFO being dropped by a helicopter?
no, I just saw that there was a new whistleblower that was going to be on what was it? Not Fox News, but I
That's
don't know.
the one.
They posted
Nation
yeah,
News.
Nation News, yeah, News
That's the
Nation.
one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I just saw that before we went to film this interview. I was reading
Oh,
that, so
okay.
I have not
Yeah,
seen it yet.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's the fact that this guy is claiming that he's well, his job was just to fly these helicopters to pick up UFOs and drop them to one spot and then leave and not know where these are going, what destination is what. But he filmed some of this stuff in uh night vision. It's very clear it's egg-shaped egg. It makes you think too, like, does because I know that they live amongst us. And I think they're just like walking around doing whatever, maybe being inside of our government or even in our TVs. Because you now think about Mork and Mindy, all right? Mork, motherfucker, came out of a fucking egg, right? An egg spaceship, and then like you see egg shaped UFOs within our history, and nowadays yeah, what the fuck, that's what's going on. And I like the Simpsons predictions too. It's like,
Mhm.
there's someone in the back curtain, like what was it, the Wizard of Oz, they fucking pulling all the strings.
Speaking of interdimensional beings, so Barnaby, I'm really curious, are there any cryptids that you would deem more likely to be an interdimensional being versus just a live creature that's walking amongst us?
Yeah, so basically with cryptozoology, it there's cryptozoology and then there's like the folklore side of all this stuff as well. And cryptozoology is very still science and fact based, beside what people think of it and stuff like that. But in order to be a cryptid, you have to be able to eat, to breed, to reproduce, and be a viable population of these animals. That's it has to be an animal. It's a cryptid. But there are certain, cryptids that people classify in here that don't fall into those categories. And one of those is the Mothman, because we don't have any scientific basis to talk about this creature, to look at this creature as a flesh and blood being. I've done a two-part episode on all the stuff going on down in the Chicago and Great Lakes area. And I've talked to a bunch of witnesses that have actually seen these things and experienced them. And there's been no reports that I've personally taken or that I've read even where you see this thing eating, or like there's been young ones seen or smaller ones seen, but it does not exhibit the typical behaviors of an animal. And I think that this is one of the creatures that, if it does exist, if it's what people are seeing, that this thing might, be one of those interdimensional or extraterrestrial beings that are out there. Because it doesn't fall into our fossil record. It doesn't fall into anything that we already have. And with any animal that's been discovered, like the okapi we talked about, we can see that it's related to giraffes. The gorilla is related to other primates, and even Bigfoot falls under the category of like human primates. With all of its behaviors, the rock throwing, the things that it does, the movements, how it behaves, we can put it in those categories of other animals. But these things, like the Mothman, just don't fall into those categories. They go above and beyond that. And I think that if you're talking like interdimensional beings and stuff like that, then that's probably your most likely subject, because there's so many sightings of those out there, but it just doesn't fall in there.
Would you say the pug wedgie, or am I saying it right?
Puck wedgies?
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of like an interdimensional creature thing, right? And the Native Americans believe in that. They get that thing.
I don't know. I would put that more in an earthbound category.
Okay, okay.
Those
Would
are
you? Okay.
like we have pygmies and stuff that are still around to this day
Oh, that's true. True,
that are
true, true.
indigenous to
Okay.
islands and places that we just leave alone in that. And I think that, going back with the Native American folklore and stories and stuff like that, these beings are out there as well. And they're basically, I don't know, politically correct, but basically like midgets. They're
Okay.
a smaller species of humanoids, who've just grown to that scale. So we have a lot of reports of people seeing them like in loincloths and stuff like that, carrying spears, and you have a lot of stuff with that, and it goes, all over the not the Pacific Northwest. What's the other end? The eastern coast and stuff out there with that area.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think that was, more just a tribe of people that are
Sure.
just
Sure.
very elusive.
Do you know much about Iceland and the interdimensional elves there?
A little bit, yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit.
so I had a woman that's from native, that's her homeland of Iceland, and she tells quite a story of, she's really knowledgeable of what was happening and still happening in Iceland. There's more than half the population of Iceland believes that these elves exist, and they're like the Lord of the Rings elves, very nice and neat, clean cut with the long blonde hair, and they move with grace. And yeah, so much so where the government even actually takes this seriously, where they won't build roads and they won't fucking move rocks without gaining permission from the elves first and
Mhm,
make sure it's okay. And if they don't give them permission, people have died, people have gotten sick, and the machinery's gotten broken, and
mhm,
the rocks would be put back. You know what I'm saying? Like everything so, and then they're even like warn tourists who come to Iceland not to throw rocks because you might hit an interdimensional being, and they'll kidnap your ass and tie you to a tree and throw rocks at you. So, and then she was telling me too that that modern day relationships, sexual relationships, have been happening with the elves and the locals of Iceland for thousands of years until modern times too. There's people who just disappear. They just leave Earth and go to their other dimension that's right across the coast. I don't know, off the coast of Iceland. I don't know how it works, but like the fact that I bet it's so much more beautiful over there. That why would they ever come back here? You know. So,
The
um,
sex must be pretty good over there, huh?
yeah, right. They got 11 inches. No, well, I don't know. It's so cool to hear that more than half the population of Iceland takes it very, very seriously
No,
that
that
these
is
things exist.
yeah, I'd love
That's
to
so
learn more about
fucking
it.
cool.
That
Fuck
is
yeah. Yeah. So I had to throw that up there.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's so much folklore and stuff over there, and it falls under a lot of categories. Whenever you look at these topics, like we put a name on certain things, like Bigfoot or alien or interdimensional or extraterrestrial, whatever you call these things. But when you look at the characteristics, they all have very common similarities. A lot of this poltergeist activity that people talk about is very similar to a lot of the Fey lore or the fairy lores and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
you have a lot of these the kidnappings, the babies, the changelings and stuff is popular in the UFO lore and the occult over there, as well as the Fey lore and the fairy stories that all kind of goes together. You hear this woman screaming out in the woods goes along with the Fey culture as well as Bigfoot. There's a Fey mythology and stuff of this woman in white, and she travels the woods with a giant, hair covered man and these candelas or balls of light. And this face story combines all three of these, the woman in white folklore and stuff that you have in Fey mythology or the crone or the Lady of the Lake and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And you have the Bigfoot mythology and stuff there as well. And then it also brings in these orbs of light that are out in the woods. So when you get into this mythology and you start looking into the stories and you start researching more of this stuff, by looking at a broad spectrum instead of focusing on one topic, you start to see all these similarities that people throughout history and around the world have been seeing these same things, these same
Yeah.
archetypes. And you put that together and you go, well, man, why, if this is just, somebody made up a story, why can you find it all over the earth? Why are you
Sure.
Exactly.
seeing
Yeah,
Yeah.
similar stories, similar legends, similar folklore and stuff that, maybe these things, these Bigfoot beings aren't just a primate, but maybe they're another form of human, another evolution of human. And I
Sure.
think that, like people talk about the time is, well, if these things are out there, why doesn't the government know about it? Well, if they do and they're not telling us, this is exactly why.
Right.
Because when you look at these things, how are you going to come out and tell people that there's another whole species of human out there that lives
Yep.
in the woods, that's not paying taxes, that's not under any of our jurisdiction?
Yeah.
And
You're right.
how ticked off are people going to be that they're like, well, these things are out there, and why aren't they doing this stuff? And then what are we going to do? We're going to do the same thing to them that we did to the Native Americans. We're going to have to put them on reservations. We're going to have to give them their own land and stuff.
Sure.
And when you look back at history, this is exactly what Theodore Roosevelt did. He created all these national parks, all these protected
Mm.
areas, and when you look at this from a broader aspect, what does that look like? This is the same thing as these Native American reservations. This is
Yeah.
your land. We're not going to go there, and it's protected, right? So you have all these different areas around the world that are these natural areas that people can't go to. They're restricted certain parts of the year, and well, you can camp here, but you can't camp there. And you
Yeah.
have all this
I
stuff,
never thought about that.
government
That's
land
so
that,
yeah, me
crazy.
neither. That's
Wow,
interesting.
you blew my fucking mind
Yeah.
right there, dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
Wow.
truth is a lot stranger than people believe, because when you start looking at all this stuff, the science that's out there, you talked about, the cloning and the all that stuff, the experiments and all that stuff that's going on, that people are like think it's just science fiction or fake or like movies. they don't realize the stuff that the government and NASA and other scientific institutes have come out and said, this is real. This is 100% real. And people are like, nah, we don't care. We don't want to know.
Yeah.
Hey, Barnaby, I heard you say, maybe in your podcast, maybe in someone else's podcast, that you would love to see a chupacabra.
That's right. Yes.
So,
She did.
Chrissy's got one in her basement.
I happen to have one here. No, I'm wondering what you find so fascinating about chupacabra, or any factoids you have to share with us.
Yeah. I think I think, well, the main reason that I'm interested in it is because when I was in elementary school is when this thing started like becoming mainstream news down in Puerto Rico in the 90s. And I did a whole research paper on the chupacabra because we had to do stupid research papers in school, and I'm like, well, I'm going to do it on this. So I looked up all the stories and the news reports and stuff back then. So I think that's why that one kind of stuck with me. But the reason I still find it interesting today is because you have all these reports of the chupacabra still, all the way up into North Carolina and Mississippi, Texas, Mexico, all have these stories of this thing now. And the problem that I have with this is Puerto Rico initially had these sightings where they deemed the name the chupacabra. It was on a news um, a radio podcast or a radio show at the time, and the host coined the term the goat sucker or chupacabra. And that's where the name comes from officially. But before that, you just had these reports of these vampirically attacked animals with the puncture wounds and stuff. But if you read the works of John Keel, going back to the 1800s and before that, you had these same reports coming out of England or Europe area, where these cattle would be attacked, mutilated, with the two puncture wounds, drained of blood, and you had this whole vampiric uprise over there as well. So throughout history, again, you take away the name because, like you said, the 1990s is when El Chupacabra became a name. But you take that away and you start looking worldwide at these phenomenon, and you've had these attacks throughout history. But what now we have is this creature that Phyllis Canyon down in Cuero, Texas found. And it's this dog creature. And I just watched this show recently now where they're looking at it again. And they did this DNA test on it, and it's Mexican wolf and coyote. This is not a chupacabra. Okay, everyone says it's a chupacabra. This is a legitimate new species of hybrid canine. Okay, they're called Texas Blue Dogs, is what they're officially deemed as. And we have video footage of these things up in Mississippi. There's a lady that had one of these filmed in her backyard. So these creatures are a new species. They're breeding, they're multiplying, they're traveling around the country now. Excuse me. And this new episode of the show that I saw actually has them all the way up into North Carolina now. So they're migrating up the coast over there. That's fine. Brand new species. But I don't believe that this is a chupacabra as we know it. I've gotten the privilege to talk to Ken Gerhardt, who's a cryptozoologist, very renowned individual as well, and he's gotten a chance to study the original carcass, the bones that Phyllis Canyon got originally, as well as the taxidermy specimen that she has now. And he's also gone down to Puerto Rico and Texas and Mexico and researched these things. And down there, this thing has become basically like a boogeyman. So if there's poltergeist activity, if there's a ghost in your house, if there's, this rattling sound or whatever have you out in the night, it's El Chupacabra. And it's just become the boogeyman for them. It's no longer just one animal. It's a whole phenomenon. And they take it very seriously. It's become part of their lore and their legends and stuff like that. But it's outgrown the singular creature aspect. Now, the interesting thing again is if you take away the name and you look at these reports recently out of Puerto Rico, where we had all these chupacabra sightings back in the 90s, now farmers and villagers and stuff are seeing what they're describing as a gargoyle creature. So there's been a series of reports of these flying like stone-like gargoyle creatures sitting on people's houses at the ends of their driveway, and they've seen these down there. So is this the same creature that is, El Chupacabra, or is this a completely new thing that they're seeing? And this one could also fall under the realm of, like the interdimensional extraterrestrial things, because I feel like this thing is more bizarre. The actual creature behind this, like I believe that the Texas blue dog is a creature. There's no doubt. We have the specimens. We have that is an actual creature, but there's something else going on here, and I just don't. I don't see that the Texas blue dog is the thing that's doing this, because any kind of canine, even with mange, which is what they believe these animals had, why they're hairless or why they, look the way they do, um, they still need to eat, and they're going to need to consume material. And I don't believe that any kind of canine species can sustain itself off of just blood in general. You do have some animals like the mosquito, like the vampire bat and stuff that do just drink blood. But look how big they are compared to these Texas blue dogs and stuff like that. I don't see this as a possibility that they're able to get all their nutrients and proteins and stuff out of that, which could be why they're hairless, why they have a diseased look to them. But and another thing is if they do have like mange or something like that, all of this species looks like this. We don't have a hairy chupacabra. They're all this kind of pig-like skin looking. All the videos, all the stuff that people have gathered of this, and this is not like Bigfoot. Oh, somebody saw it, running through the woods, this blurry thing of it. No, they actually have decent footage of these things just running around neighborhoods and stuff now. So it's a common known species now that we have evidence and footage of and stuff. So I don't see this being a breeding population sustaining itself off of blood purely. So there's something else going on. And then if these things do match up, then what was going on back in Europe in the 1800s, 1700s?
Oh, right.
Were there Texas blue dogs back there that are exhibiting the same characteristics, the same bite patterns, the same kind of MO that we're getting now in, Texas and all this? I don't follow it. It's a very interesting topic, and that's why I'm interested in it, because there's more going on that even cryptozoologists aren't grasping that aspect to.
Wow, that is interesting.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't some of them have human-like hands? Or they've found remains?
Not remains, no. So the original description of these things looks like a little kind of like alien creature, kind of pot-bellied, tail, spines on the back, hands. Some report it with wings, some don't. It's got big bulbous eyes, kind of like a gray alien.
It could be almost like a skinwalker type looking thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like all sorts of things going on, like the movie. What is it? The Thing, the alien that comes down, and like it's like a parasite alien that yeah. Sorry.
But the original report that depicts this creature like that was put by one woman down in Puerto Rico in that area, and supposedly she had just seen the movie Alien, and she's describing one of the beings in that movie. So they've kind of said that her testimony, her eyewitness account is biased to that. And they're like, well, that's not what this is. And so then we've gotten more towards, well, it's just these Texas blue dogs, because that's what it is. So
yeah. Have you seen the movie Nope?
Yes. That's the one with the farm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know have you seen it, Chrissy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I found out this is really trippy, that is an actual creature. When I first saw that movie, I was kind of disappointed that this UFO happens to be the creature that's eating everybody and sucking everybody up and spitting
Spoilers. You got to say spoiler.
Oh, I'm sorry. Spoiler alert.
Some people might not have seen
it. That's true.
It's only been out for like 5 years.
Yeah. I thought it'd be okay by now. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Yeah,
but no, the fact that this thing is spitting out like people's coins and keys in clothing and other shit. And I find out that there's reports that there in throughout history and modern day times that there's a killer cloud out there. It's just sucking up animals, people, or weird shit, and then it spits out. So I heard that when they were making that movie, the government actually came there and gave him like a little briefing, saying like, "Hey, you're touching on maybe a real subject there." I don't know. So that makes it sound like it's more eerie that like someone the government had like poked their nose into that film. It's like, huh, why?
The government's also worked on Star Wars
Oh
and
yeah.
some other
Oh
Steven
shit.
Spielberg works as well that they've come up
Yes.
and talked
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
And I think Stanley
So
Kubrick too.
supposedly back in the day there was right after Roswell, they did like this opinion poll survey thing, and they said, if the government came out and said that aliens existed today, what would happen? And they put it out to this third party survey company, and they went around and they said, oh, it's going to be mass mayhem, pandemonium, all stuff. The world is not ready for that. And so the government said, okay, well, how do we do this? And they said, well, you have to basically brainwash the population into accepting it first. So that's why a lot of people believe that they're putting out the movies and putting out Star Trek,
Yeah.
Star Wars, all
Yes.
these
Mork and
little
Mindy.
things, yeah, to kind of say, well, what if aliens lived among us? What if they were
Yeah.
peaceful? What if they were dangerous? And they're feeding this information with real information along with your storylines and stuff like that to kind of judge that and see how it's going. And nowadays it's just, sure it is. It's real, and people don't even bat an eye. So whatever they've done throughout, the last 60, 80 years
Well,
has just been to get us prepped for this point in time where
and,
they
th-
can
and,
just come out and say, yeah, this is real. And no
and
one
think about like
cares.
the History Channel and Discovery Channel, like the History Channel, like the talking about ancient
History
aliens.
Channel after
Yeah,
Right.
dark.
but
Yeah.
they've been there for 21 episode or seasons. I mean, that's a,
Yeah.
that's a long fucking time, bro.
To see the History Channel is pretty legit, and they started putting the UFO stuff on there.
Yeah, even
That's
other stuff
most
too,
people
not
that
just
means a lot.
UFOs, but just everything else, like Bigfoot stuff,
Yeah.
and like I'm just saying, even the Discovery Channel and
Yeah.
other
Animal
channels,
Planet.
Animal Planet, yes,
Yeah.
When Animal Planet puts out a show on Bigfoot, well, you got to stop and go, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Why they're out there? Enough evidence has been out there. Actually, I've been seeing some, I don't know if it's TikTok. Well, obviously TikTok has a lot of things, but um, I've seen a lot of footages of Bigfoot peeking into people's windows. You seen those footages? What do you think about those? Do you think those are somewhat legit, or do you think that some of those people are just trying to get a rise out of people?
It depends which ones you're watching. There's a
Sure,
lot.
sure.
There's the one going around where this dog man's looking in somebody's window, and the dog man is a mask, like a costume that the guy made. He just
Yeah.
filmed that, and it took the internet by storm. See, and I think a lot of I believe that there are people that are, actively trying to say, oh, look, I found something when they didn't. But I think a lot of it is also people see footage and run with it. So
Yes.
somebody says, hey, look, there's a dog looking in my window. And they're like, oh God, that's what it is. It's a dog man. Here's proof, and unfortunately there's a portion of the population that will believe things that aren't real, and they're gonna run with it. That
Hey,
everything is a conspiracy, everything is this,
yes.
and they're gonna
Well, same
latch
with the
onto that.
UFO. Same with the
Yeah.
UFO shit. It's like the AI is ruining it for everybody now. And so we have to like look at it with a microscope every time now. Like,
And the worst part of it is that this hurts your credibility. A
Absolutely.
ufologist or
Yep. Yep.
cryptozoologist who are really trying to find really
Real
good
answers.
data.
Yeah.
And then you have these people out there faking things, and then no one believes anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they start going back to other things that are credible, like the Friedman footage or the Patterson Gimlin film, and they go, "Oh no, that's AI." Well, I'm sorry, sir, but computers didn't even exist when that
Right.
done.
Exactly.
So I'm pretty sure that that's not AI.
Yeah.
But thanks for playing. Oh,
Yes.
Right.
no,
That
no.
one's so
I know the guy
credible
that made
too.
that picture. No, you don't.
Oh
You
man.
really don't.
Yeah.
That was like the holy grail of all footages of Bigfoot. Because you can see the whole creature, it actually turns around.
Controversial.
And it's,
Controversial.
yeah. But no, again, it's just awesome. Just super
Yeah,
awesome.
it is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's like catching this guy right behind me. It's like, whoa.
He looks pretty intimidating.
Yeah, I would run away quick as fuck.
Hey Barnaby. So, CAPS is the coolest thing ever because you not only have, the ufologists, then you've got the cryptozoologists, and then you have psychics on your team, and you also have paranormal investigators. When I found this out, I was so excited. You just have this whole team. Do you guys do house calls?
We do, yeah. We travel pretty much all of Wisconsin to help people out. We'll do businesses or private residents and stuff like that. We actually just launched a new program called the Trusted Affiliates Program. And what that is when we go to somebody's house, we will meet people that have like psychic abilities or like are in tune to the spirit world. And they're seeing all this stuff happen. Oh, I went, to my friend's house and I saw a ghost and I saw this, so I must be possessed. No, you're just open to this. You have these abilities. And so we go in and we do these investigations and we find this stuff out. And then what happens is, we are trying to put people in contact with the people that can help them locally. So we have launched this program. It's the Trusted Affiliates Program. You can go to our website and click on it, and there's a list of trusted people that we have worked with, we have vetted, we have gone through to say, yes, this person knows how to train you, how to get you to understand your abilities, how to hone them, how to work with you on a one-on-one basis beyond just coming into somebody's house and doing an investigation. But if you want to learn how to protect yourself, either shut this all off and, make it so that you stop seeing all this stuff, or if you want to be able to help control that and hone those abilities, these are some people that can help train you. And what we do is free. We come in, we do our investigations, we try and help people as much as possible. But above that, to get this training, people charge for it. So we have these list of people that you can go to and learn, to take classes, to take training and stuff like that. And we just launched that this year, and we're pretty excited for that, to be able to offer above and beyond that, the one-on-one investigation, and actually be able to go and help people on a more personal basis after we're there. So
I think it's really unique too that other people who want to be following in your footsteps, you have an academy of people that you take out that are just want to do the same thing as you and like kind of pursue, because you take this on as a career, man. You do lectures. You're so busy, man. Like you have no time for a job, man. This is your job, bro.
I work like third shift. So
oh
that
my
I have
God.
a full day available to do either library
Wow.
presentations or podcasts or stuff.
See, Barnaby is so on the grind. It's so ridiculous. And this dude
Yes.
travels not just Wisconsin, but all around the United States for all these hot spots. Like if Chrissy, if you have some like good spots for him to go visit with his team,
Yeah, if
or
you
like
come
or maybe go link
here,
up with you in the future, he'll definitely
yeah.
he's the travel bug. This motherfucker who goes out and he loves to travel. And the fact that like it's family orientated, man. Like you created this. That's what I like about you too, man. Like you had a dream. I think you wanted to be a wrestler, right? I think you started in wrestling.
I was a professional wrestler for 10 years.
Oh,
Traveling
Yeah.
around doing
See,
that. Yeah.
again, a
Yeah.
dream of that too. Of I kind of had the same thing with music. I had a dream having with music, and again, you fall into this cryptozoology. The fact that you take it so serious enough, for like, okay, how am I going to do this? I'm going to get all the equipment I need, get a team together, find like-minded people who are serious, and you're not paying these people to be with you. They're just doing it because of the love they have and interest and curiosity, that the drive of them wanting to be with you on your side because you have the drive and charisma like they have. Again, I just feel like it's so fucking cool. That's why I loved when I came to the Chicago convention and you shared that booth with me when I was showcasing my photographs. You're so welcome with welcome arms, and your mom too. You had such a big ass booth with touch you had all the ghost detectors and ghost balls. You had merchandise, t-shirts, stickers. Man, this guy has so much shit just like to promote himself. He had like banners and shit. I'm like, man, look at this. You had the biggest like I think you had the biggest spot out of all of the 80s over there. You're popping, bro. It was dope. And the fact that our booth is right across from MUFON, And I got to go over there and talk to the state director and blow his mind that I had Colonel Wendell Stevens photographs, and his eyes were lit up and his jaw dropping and drool coming out of his mouth, and his colleagues are all hunched over looking at it. And apparently they were still talking about me after I left for another 20 minutes. So it was very flattering. Again, it was such a I've never been to an atmosphere like that before. Oh, Chrissy, I don't know if you've been to any of the conventions.
No,
And
but I am dying to go.
oh my God, it was so
Dying.
cool. Especially like being behind the booth and being part of like, I don't know, this feeling like, because people came up to me with questions. Like, I don't know, like it was so cool to
Yeah.
have that
Oh,
interaction, like, and then putting me in a different light almost, like, hey, this guy takes it
yeah.
serious. He's like a ufologist and he collects well, more of a custodian to these photographs that I just love showcasing. That's why we have the gathering here in Madison too. It's another reason I want to get Burnaby here in Madison to one of our gatherings to showcase his traveling exhibit of Haydn. And it was so cool because I love your setup with that too. With all like it's I like how you have it like almost like in a log cabin in the background of like hanging up all these
Yes,
pictures and stuff. That is
exactly.
very clever.
Exactly.
That's super dope. I love that idea. And then you have tons of pictures, you have audio, you have video. If you even set up like a mic booth for people who have questions and just want to do like a live podcast during your whole
We used to. Yeah. We
are
don't
you
try
used
to
to?
podcast anymore. Yeah.
Oh,
That
okay.
became too much work. Yeah.
Oh, I was just say, Jesus. I'm like, again, how do you juggle half the shit you do already? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But again, I just love that you have a team that, like, again, falls in love with your personality too. That's another reason why they stick around you and support you so much, especially your mother, man. Like, your mom takes full, it seems like her whole time too with you, and you get going off into these investigations, and she does a lot of research herself. And yeah, again, just so fucking cool. I can see where people can be like envious of that. Like, just like, damn, that is so dope.
Like Barnaby, I greatly, greatly admire your knowledge on cryptozoology. I could hear you talk all day. I've already learned so much from you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
So
appreciate it.
cool.
So Barnaby, where can people find you if they want to like book you here in Wisconsin? I don't know if you're going to go travel too far just to go see someone's house, but no, yeah, if you want to tell me some more upcoming events, conventions that are coming up.
So all of our events you can find at Wisconsin Caps right up here, wisconsincaps.com. CAPS stands for Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. And you can also find all of our social media links over here. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Blue Sky. You can find us at Wisconsin spelled out Caps or WI Caps on Instagram. We have I will be at the Chicago Paranormal Convention June 7th in Chicago, Illinois, at the Countryside, wherever it is. Information's on the website. I don't know dates and stuff very well, but we're going to be in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, coming up in a couple weeks here in February 9th, I believe, at the Soul, nope, not Soul and Synergy anymore. Now it is Beyond the Veil events. And then we're going to be at the Midwest Metaparacon, and that is in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It's a big 3-day event in April, and there's a lot of great speakers. Jason Hawes is going to be there from Ghost Hunters. Sherry is going to be there. Adam Barry is going to be there. Ronnie LeBlanc is going to be there from Expedition Bigfoot. There's a ton of people I don't even know. They're still announcing people going to be here. Yep, can't think of them all. But there's a lot of big names that are going to
Yeah,
be
it's super
well.
dope.
So we're going to be at that one, and then of course we're going to be at our cryptid event in Wisconsin at the Wisconsin Cryptids Anomalies and Paranormal Convention. That is Mother's Day weekend, May 9th through the 11th, and you can get all that information again, wisconsincaps.com.
Damn. Boom, dum, dum. That is super dope, dude. Man, look at all that shit. You just packed that. Man, my head was spinning. I was like, shit, man.
Oh, yeah. Plus my 2 weekly podcasts on the Untold Radio Network. Every Monday, I put
Yes.
out a Monsters on the Edge, which is all cryptozoology, everything from Bigfoot, Loch Ness monsters, whatever we can talk about on there. That's every Monday at noon Central Time. And then on Thursdays, I also do the Paranormal Spectrum, which is everything from remote viewing to psychics to UFOs to every other phenomenon that doesn't necessarily fall under the cryptids banner. So that is every Thursday on the Untold Radio Network, which is owned by the world-renowned Doug Hychek, producer of Monster Quest. So
Yeah, well, that'd be super dope. You know what? We got to have Chrissy on one of your podcasts because I want her to get her name out there more and more because she's very important to the ghost world. So no, I think it'd be really cool to have her on your show because she's got some stories and some pretty cool evidence that you
Ghost hunting is where my heart lies, but cryptozoology is so interesting.
sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks again, Barnaby, for being with us for our
Yes.
200th episode.
We're happy to have Burnaby on the show.
Yeah,
This is
that was super dope.
Well, anytime you guys want me, I'm here. So
Yes,
Oh.
I'll definitely have you back. All right.
I
Well,
know.
hey. Well, hey, stick with me for 2 more minutes.